Hello and welcome to the Redmen TV. Yes, it's Liverpool versus PSG in the Champions League, and I'm here with a completely incorrect starting 11 prediction. I was full of confidence at the weekend going into that Tottenham one. I called it right. I know for a fact that I've called this one completely and utterly wrong. So let's just call this what I'd like to see. Spoilers, Fabinho's in this side for no reason whatsoever. But let's start off with the goalkeeper. Let's start off with Mr. Alisson Becker, who, first of all, the stats are from last season's Champions League. So we played 12 times last season, conceded 19 goals. And you could see his long passing accuracy was really high, 65%, but his short passing accuracy even higher, 97%. I think he's going to start in goal. There's no question that Simon Mignolet is our Champions League goalkeeper. Alisson's in goal until Alisson's not in goal anymore. So let's move on to the right back then. And the right back this game is going to be Trent Alexander-Arnold, who played 11 times from the start in the Champions League last time out. 2 goals, 1 assist, 8.73 defensive duels per 90. And I think it's fair to say when you talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold, we'll get into the comments and some of your thoughts a little bit later on in the video, that it probably hasn't been the best start to a season for him. We're used to seeing him really bombing on. We're used to seeing that really incisive ball into the box. And I just don't feel like we've seen that Trent Alexander-Arnold yet this season. But I just wonder whether he's curbed his enthusiasm somewhat, and this sort of staunch defence that we're starting to see at Liverpool Football Club is because Trent's not bombing on quite so much. Again, playing alongside a young lad most of the time, Joe Gomez, who the two of them between them are conscious that it's quite a young, quite an inexperienced side of the defence. I wonder if that's why you're seeing Liverpool attack more down that left-hand side so far this season. And just that defensive stability that he is offering is making Liverpool keep goals out. So we'll move on to the next player anyway, and that is Joe Gomez. I do think he's going to start once again. I don't think there's any doubt that he is now first choice centre-half at Liverpool Football Club. I know Lovren hasn't played this season yet, but he's going to struggle because Joe Gomez is playing at an elite level right now, and we saw him come up against his biggest test at the weekend in Lucas Moura and Harry Kane. And when you look at the pass maps, and you know, I've done this so on Stats and Tactics on the website, the two of them are really rolling over to that side, really trying to sort of get into the areas of the pitch where Joe Gomez is. He's going to have his biggest test again on Tuesday night, because he is going to be coming up, you would expect, against Neymar and Mbappe and maybe Cavani and Angel Di Maria and all these type of players, and maybe Draxler's going to start. So it's going to be a big test for him, and it's how he stands up in the face of adversity that will separate, show us just how good a player Joe Gomez can be. But you know what, right now he's looking good. This centre-back partnership with him and Virgil van Dijk is looking great. So let's just talk about Virgil van Dijk, because he is going to be the other centre-half in this game. And last season he played 6 times for us in the Champions League, winning 5.85 aerial duels per 90. That's 70%. He was winning 7 interceptions per 95, clearances per 90, and you know what, nearly 40 passes per 90 as well. This is as a back two, or a part of the back four, this partnership in centre defence with Joe Gomez has looked really, really strong. And again, it's going to be a big test for him. How good is Virgil van Dijk? I think we all think he's one of the best centre-halves in world football. He's going to get that opportunity to show on the biggest stage of all that he is that again on Tuesday against the calibre of player that PSG have got. And alongside them in the defence, it is going to be Andrew Robertson once again. We're not going to see Alberto Moreno. 8.7 defensive duels per 90. Not a great win rate, 10.9%, 6.49 interceptions per 90 in the Champions League last season, 6 appearances as well, 41 passes. And listen, if Liverpool have got the ball, a lot of that will come down the left-hand side with Robertson. You know, maybe he's going to be looking to play off Sadio Mane and get in behind. I think that's an area of weakness for PSG. I've just been speaking to Adam White from Get French Football News on Twitter. Everyone will know the account. Just done a show on the website with him, a podcast. So if you're subscribed to the website, he's got a really great knowledge and insight of French football, in particular PSG, and found out some really interesting things actually. And I'll tell you one of them right now. He thinks Liverpool are the favourites for this game because he thinks Liverpool are a better side, and maybe that's not something that Liverpool fans on the whole would come to a consensus over, but that's certainly the viewpoint of Adam White from Get French Football News. Anyway, onto the midfield, and I've gone with a double pivot. I've actually changed the formation slightly. I'm going to go 4-2-3-1, and I'm going to say that Jordan Henderson comes back into the side. 12 appearances last year, 1 assist, 9 defensive duels per 90, 52 passes per 90 and 5 interceptions per 90 for Jordan. Didn't get the start at the weekend. I imagine that is because he's going to get the start ahead of Gini Wijnaldum in this game. I think, thought, that we might see a little bit of a curveball. So his midfield partner, and I spoiled this at the top of the show for me, is the new signing Fabinho. He hasn't had a start yet. This is his first start, and there's just no way that this is going to happen. So basically, I'll let you peek behind the curtain a little bit. These graphics take absolutely ages. So Tom asked me on like Thursday last week who I think's going to start. I was like, Fabinho's going to start. And then it come round to it today. The graphic takes like 2 hours to export, and we've had so many shows to do. I'm like, I'm just going to run with Fabinho. I'm going to be wrong, but you know what? I'm probably going to be wrong anyway. So Fabinho is starting in my starting 11 prediction / Wijnaldum. The stats for Wijnaldum are here, if you can just imagine them for me. Anyway, we'll move on. I'm going to push Fabinho off the page, and I'm going to bring in Naby Keita. 5 appearances last year for Leipzig, 2 goals, 54 passes per 90, 27 all duels per 90. What? And 7 dribbles per 90. Is this right? 27 all duels per 90, Tom?
All of them. Defensive and attacking.
Okay, that is incredible, isn't it, when you look at these stats? So incredible that I thought you'd just got that wrong and you put a 2 in front of a 7 or something, Tom. So, he's the last midfielder. Let's get on to the front 3. I think everybody knows it's going to be Mo Salah on the right wing. 14 appearances last time, 15 goals and assists combined, 11 goals, 4 assists, 3.76 shots per 90, 12.52 offensive duels per 90. He'll be playing. Opposite him on the other wing is going to be Sadio Mane. So we'll bring his stats in now, and you can see he played 13 times, scored 10 goals, 2 assists in the Champions League last 10 hours. I'm going to move it on dead quick. I'm going to move on because I think, well, regardless, Firmino is going to start. I know he's had that eye injury. I nearly poked myself in the eye, but then I remembered, don't do that. That's silly. And then I remembered, you're wearing glasses. It would have been fine. See? It's fine. So, 15 appearances, 18 combined goals and assists in the Champions League. 18 combined goals and assists in 15 appearances. Wow. 2.97 shots per 90, 1.84 shot assists per 90 for Roberto Firmino. What does all that mean for my completely incorrect starting 11 prediction? Well, you can see Alisson's in goal. We've set it up as the 4-2-3-1, although we now think it's going to be a 4-3-3 with Wijnaldum. Sorry, I said Wijnaldum. I actually think it's going to be Milner. I think Henderson's going to play here. Don't tell Tom, because he spent a long time on these graphics. I think Henderson's going to play here. I think Milner's going to play here. And I think Naby Keita's going to play here. But I really think that Henderson and Fabinho are going to play as a double pivot with Keita just ahead of them in a 4-2-3-1 with these 3. I'm going to get into some of the comments section now, and they're all like, why are you playing Fabinho, Chris? There's no chance of you playing Fabinho. I can't believe there's 1,600 people watching me 100% predict the wrong side.
Mr. ASG says, Fabinho, yes, he knows PSG inside out.
That's exactly what I was thinking last Thursday.
Yeah.
Exactly what I was thinking last Thursday.
And Yash Hirani says, we need Fabinho. His defending is so sick. I know he hasn't played a game all season, but still bench maybe.
Do you know, the reason that I actually thought that, again, nearly a week ago now, that I thought Fabinho might start in this game is I wondered whether Klopp had dangled the carrot to Fabinho and gone, look, you know PSG, I agree with you, mate. You know PSG, you've played them before, you've played them while you were at Monaco, you know what their skill sets are, you're the best sort of mole that we've got, and can you work tirelessly and tactically for this game? And I wondered whether Jordan Henderson just coming back a little bit later than Gini Wijnaldum, sitting out most of that game against Tottenham at the weekend, meant that these two were able to work on things together. That was me thinking back then. I don't actually think it's going to happen, but I'd love us to surprise us. I'd love Klopp to surprise us and play Fabinho and Henderson, because I want to see him, first and foremost, and I want to see him against the best players that we're going to come up against. And PSG have got some of the best players that we're going to come up against this season. And I want to see this guy as well. I want to see him let off the leash. And if he played with the 2 behind him, what are we going to see out of Naby Keita? That front 4 could be just, couldn't it? I just want a little bit of that. I just want a little bit of that, you know what I mean?
Ewan Morrow says, do you think Trent will be able to keep Neymar under control for the full 90?
Do I think Trent's going to be able to keep Neymar under control for the whole 90? No, because I don't think there's many fullbacks in the world that can do that. Not consistently. You know, I think there are always opportunities for these great players. I was lucky enough to be at Anfield when Brazil played Croatia just before the World Cup, and Neymar made an appearance off the bench, comes on and scores, and he's just head and shoulders above every player on the pitch. It's one thing watching a world-class player playing a Barcelona team or a PSG team on the telly. It's another when you see them up close and personal, and when you just saw how fast he moved around the pitch and the level of control he's got over the football. I was sitting there thinking, he's not fit, and yet he's one of the best players I've ever seen live. That's how good he is, and I can't wait to see him again, and I can't wait to see how Trent and Gomez do against him, because we'll find out how good these two players are. Now, they've stood up to most tests that they've come up against. Neymar's on a different level to every player. Neymar is one of the best three players in the world, probably. And we're going to find out how good these young lads, Trent and Gomez, are. I can't wait, and I know that the Neymar that I saw isn't the Neymar that's, you know, fit and brilliant and he was so good for Brazil in that game. I can't wait to see him in the flesh. I'm really excited to play PSG. Everybody should be excited, because we'll find out how good this Liverpool side is, and this front three, when they're firing, are going to be just as difficult to deal with as their front three. I think we've got a little bit more at the back. I know Thiago Silva hasn't exactly been playing brilliantly. Marquinhos, where is he going to be playing? Is he going to be playing that DM role? Doesn't really suit him, does it? It's going to be a really interesting battle. And Meunier, their fullback or slash wing back, he's a winger. So there's going to be spacing behind their right wing back or right back, and equally the left back. It's a bit of an issue for them. And just like against Tottenham, I believe there's going to be a lot of space for Salah, and I believe there's going to be a lot of space for Sadio Mane. It's whether we can capitalise on that space and get the goals to win the game. So back into the comments. Carrie Borra says Neymar is only good if things are going his way. And I think that's one of the reasons, actually, that you've touched on there, Carrie, is that Tuchel's been brought into PSG because of all the problems that they've had under Ancelotti and Emery and I forget the other manager that was in between the two of them. And Tuchel's come in and he's a bit like Klopp, and he's going to put his arms around the players and they're going to like playing for him. And I don't feel like they've really had that culture at PSG before. It's always felt like Ibrahimovic started this culture of just like cliques and all that type of stuff. So for me, it's a really interesting appointment, but Tuchel's going to move them on tactically as well. You know, they've always been just set up in that 4-3-3, and the superior quality is supposed to win games, which is fine in League, but is really, they've faltered. You know, they've not got past the quarterfinals of the Champions League, not knocked out in the last 16 last season. You know, they're a good side when things are going their way, and Tuchel needs to change that, and Neymar needs to change if that is still the case with his game as well. Chris, who's doing the podcast tomorrow? Says Cop-Out Legend, me and Pablo. Croxter Streven, Alisson, Robbo, Van Dijk, Gomez, Trent, Milner, Gini Keita, Mane, Salah, Shaqiri. Interesting. You know what? We should absolutely talk about that Croxter Streven. If Firmino isn't fit, I think you've got this nailed. I think Shaqiri has to come in here and Salah has to go up there. I just don't feel like with the game that I'm expecting, that quick transition, the quick counter-attack, if they've got a lot of the ball, Liverpool needs to be able to counter them quickly. And for me, that's about Salah being up front and not Daniel Sturridge. And I love Daniel Sturridge, and there are games for Daniel Sturridge. But for me, I agree with you. Firmino's not fit. Shaqiri gets the nod on the wing, and Salah goes up into that number 9 spot, and we'll see where we are after that. Fab right back, says Dejan Lovren. Nice of you to take your time. Dejan, I don't think it's actually the real Dejan Lovren. I'd go out on a limb and say it's definitely not. Unless we've just had the first breaking news of the team, but I don't think that's the case either. Okay, Matthias Winkler, I think I've just answered your question. Every other team is shitting it, says Pepper Red. Adam McKevitt, Milner needs to start. He's one of our most important players. His experience is vital. He'll be arguably our best player this season. Yeah, I mean, he's just a cut above, isn't he? He's so fit. He's so good. He really is. And I'm running out of superlatives, and we've just filmed the Uncensored Match build-up show. That'll be out later on this evening. And we talked about it, and John, Paul's dad, was in for the show, and I love talking to John about footy, and he was talking about James Milner. He's like, I just want him to be fit at the end of the season because he was so pivotal, and I agree with everything that John said there. I won't ruin it. I won't tread too much on his points, but definitely watch the Uncensored Match build-up show again. That will be coming out later on this evening. The big games tomorrow. But before you go, I always ask you to subscribe. I'm going to do something slightly different. Obviously, subscribe. Like the video, of course, if you enjoyed it. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. But before you go, I did an interview with James Allcott. He's got his own channel. It's called James Lawrence Allcott. He interviewed me, and he does this series called The Process, and it was about the highs and lows of being a part of Redmen TV and just talking about life and all that type of stuff. And if you're interested, I thought he's a really great interviewer first and foremost. I've got a clip of the show that I want to show you, but go over and support him. He's got 10,000 subscribers now. He deserves 10 times that, more than that. He's genuinely one of the most down-to-earth and humble guys I've met doing this thing for the last 8 years. I've met so many YouTubers and footballers and all that, and James is one of the good guys, he really is. And he made me so comfortable because I was so out of my wheelhouse. Talking about myself, I don't like to do that. I know I talk about myself all the time, but when I'm talking about footy, I'm talking about these lads here, these lads in reds with that badge on them, you know what I mean? And I love that, and I get that, and I talk about NFL on our Cover 2 TV YouTube channel, and I get it, I'm comfortable about it, and he made me so comfortable talking about something that I'm not comfortable about, which is talking about like the Chelsea stuff that happened in my life and stuff. Anyway, here's a clip of the video. Enjoy it, go over, click the link in the description, and check this out. So it was an incredibly difficult time in my life. I didn't realise it was a homophobic slur for a start. That's a fucking hard question. Redmen TV aren't selling the souls. Back yourself, no one else is going to.